This video is a reference for how to place your sites once you have prepped them. So again, everybody's sites are going to be a little bit different, so this is just an example, and if you have questions with site placement, you can ask one of the girls. So every patient is going to be sent home with a patient manual binder. In the binder, we are going to have one of these heads here for reference as well. It's going to show you where each of the sites go. And these labels here are going to correspond with the correct sensor that is in the cord here. So for me, I usually start with the easiest one, which is ground. It's going to be one less sensor that's going to get tangled up here. So I just pull the middle one. This here is labeled G, and the G is labeled here. So that's going to be the site that is in the middle of her head. So in order to place the sensor, I'm going to hold the appropriate cord and get some 1020 on my finger. I get a big amount, that way I can make sure that the sensor is completely full. We want to get about an ice cream amount scoop so that when we place the sensor on her head, it gives a good surrounding of the electropaste. So I've got everything filled here, and I'm just gonna find the site. I'm gonna make sure that no hair has gotten in the site or the spot that we've marked, and I'm just going to push it directly down. You wanna push nice and gently so that the sensor isn't actually touching her head. That's not going to hurt the patient. It just is gonna cause for a bad connection. The next site that I start with is going to be A1 because it's on the end and it's number 1. A1 over here says that it is on the left side of her head. So the site that we mark that's on the left side is the sensor that we're going to pull. So A1 is right here. This is the sensor we're going to fill. Again, we're going to get about an ice cream scoop amount, making sure that it is completely full and enough to give a good surrounding once we push the goo down. So again, we're going to make sure that no hair got stuck in the site that we marked. And for sites that are close to the patient's eyes, it's important to remember gravity. We don't want them to have cords hanging in their face since they're watching a movie. We want to place the sensor in a way that it's away from their face. So I'm going to push directly down onto the site that we marked. Sometimes it's helpful if you hold the other side of their head. It gives you a little bit of leverage. That way you can push that site down and make sure that it's got a good connection. The next site that we're going to find is going to be A2. Our book shows that A2 is on the right side of her head, so that's going to be the site that we marked on the right side. This is the sensor here. We have enough goo on our finger still to fill it about an ice cream scoop amount. And this site is also really close to her face or her eyes, so we're going to make sure that we place the sensor in a way that it is away from her face. I've moved the hair. I'm going to push directly down. I give it a little wiggle sometimes if I'm unsure if the sensor has stuck completely. If you give it a little wiggle and it seems stable, then you should be okay. The next one that we're going to place is going to be R1. R1 shows here that it is the left ear. So it looks like we'll need some more 1020. The ear clips are a little tricky. It seems as though you could hold them open this way, but once you get the goo in there and try to get her earlobe in there, it's a little bit tricky. So I like to hold my thumb in between each of the sensors here. That way I have the ability to fill each sensor. And once they're filled, I still have enough room to put the earlobe in between. So we're going to move the hair, make sure that there's no hair on the ear. We've already prepped the earlobe, so we're going to just place it directly on that cleaned area. Once you've got it on there, going to give it just a little squeeze so that it's got a stable hold on her ear. And lastly, we have the second ear clip. So we're going to do the same thing. I like to keep my thumb in between there to make sure that they stay open and we have enough room. I'm going to fill each side just the same way as we did the first one, same way that we did the sensors. Make sure there's an even amount so that when we squeeze, it has a good surrounding. I'm gonna slide her ear in there and give it just a little squeeze and a little tug to make sure that it's securely on her ear.